I did pretty well. I went all the way to the Olympics.
What?
In
For real?
2008, the Beijing Olympics. I represented Singapore in the 100 meters.
And one of Singapore's athletes at the Beijing Games is 18-year-old sprinter Kang.
I hope to see how the best, how they train, how they.
Kelvin, you've been nominated by Taha to be on the show. Could you nominate one friend of yours to appear on my channel?
Kelvin Kang. Kelvin is an interesting guy. Kelvin is also from a track and field background.
Taha, thanks for getting me hooked up with Kelvin, SL7. Kelvin, thanks for coming, man. You did a very intense ride, I heard, this morning with Taha. How was it?
This morning was good. Joined the SO630. So thanks for all those guys that have put. I actually was just drafting behind. It was my first time completing it, so I was pretty excited to be riding the peloton and just enjoying the speed.
Right.
So it was a good workout, good weekend.
So just like Taha, you are also a track and field guy. You started off with running. Tell us more about that and how did you get into cycling?
Yeah, so I actually was a national athlete, used to represent Singapore in track and field. Wow. So I specialize in the sprints, so mainly the 100, 200 and 4x1. So I'm used to short distance, nothing more than 20 seconds. But now I'm transiting to cycling is like few hours, so it's a big change. But pretty much I did pretty well. I went all the way to the Olympics.
What?
In
For real?
2008, the Beijing Olympics. I represented Singapore in the 100 meters.
And one of Singapore's athletes at the Beijing Games is 18-year-old sprinter Kang.
I hope to see how the best, how they train, how they in the Olympic village, how they interact with each other and everything. So I think it's more of like looking at how the professionals do it.
Got a few SEA Games medals as well in the 4x100 meters under my belt. So pretty much sport has been something that has been my life, and I always love being outdoors. And I love speed. So I think it was a very natural progression to go into cycling because you can have that surge in speed. At the same time, as I get older, I wanted to find a sport that I could get my cardio as well because my metabolism is slowing down. I still want to keep lean and fit, so I think cycling was the choice.
Sorry, I had no idea you're an Olympian.
It's okay. Now you know.
Wow, how do you even get there? Like, how was the training like? Was it very intense?
So I actually had a chance to join the Singapore Sports School. I was the first batch of students, and I did pretty much 6 days training a week, and sometimes it's twice a day. So about 12 sessions a week. So pretty intense, but of course not every training is a hard session, right? Things like flexibility, core training are part of the whole plan. So I would say I weave that into my cycling as well. Not every day is just like a full burst or a full hood thing, but some days it's just just going easy, but just spinning the legs. So I would say the principle of training has been there with me. So I really enjoy knowing how to kind of plan my workouts accordingly as well.
So after that, and then you got into cycling. How did cycling come about again? You said you were just swapping your running routine, is it?
Yeah, so I'm actually a COVID cyclist. So for all you that are COVID cyclists, I feel you. I think I bought a 4D bike before this. It's actually a birdie which I still have, but it's like kind of collecting dust . So it's been hanging on my wall and stuff. But I realized the need for speed was there, and instead of going overseas, you saved up some money. So I just thought, okay just put it in a bike right? Then therefore I decided to buy a road bike because I think that's the best bike that you can really go fast, right? And not just a road bike I think all my friends say, hey, get an aero bike, right? So I think in Singapore you see maybe 8 out of 10 people buy an aero bike because firstly it looks nice, aesthetically it's good. I think the performance there of the carbon frame is great, very stiff, right? And at the same time I think the resale price point is there, there's demand, right? So that's where I bought my first aero bike which was a Fuji Transonic SL. It's a rim brake bike, and I actually really like that bike. It's super light and super agile. But I got poisoned by my friends to say, hey, if it rains how, rim brake bike a bit dangerous, right? Then they say, hey, get a disc brake Then disc brake bikes will be becoming popular with 2020, right? So that's where I changed
So the Fuji Transonic was a second-hand bike?
Yeah. So I bought it off Carousel. I actually didn't want to buy a bike then, but my friend was helping me to find, and he said, hey, this is a good deal, go and try. So I just went there, try, and then I actually didn't even know how to test what is good in a bike, right? I was so new, I was like, oh, as long as I can change gear and I can brake, right, it's fine.
Question to your friend who asked you to buy the bike, how much did he tell you was the starting price to get into cycling? Was it a very high price? He said like, wow, you need like 10,000 or?
Actually, then my friend, he was a bit brand conscious. I won't name him here.
Okay.
But he's like, hey, eventually, you get this bike, but this is not your end bike lah, because you know you ride a few times and value goes lah. So he told me, hey, buy a bike that maybe can hold its value lah, right? So after that, then he poisoned me to buy another bike lah.
So I'm assuming he said probably like, you know, do you think it's cycling is an expensive sport to get into? That you need a lot of money to get into, or you know, anyone can just come in with whatever price point?
Yeah, I think it's a good question. A lot of us, when we look at cycling for the first time, of course I want to look cool, because you know, like a bike is an extension of who you are. Of course our jersey is the most visual, right? So you can see I like colours, I like to be vibrant. So when I look at cycling, I also want to look at a bike that I can be able to like it lah. And I think for a lot of beginners, if they don't know performance, they will just really look at how their friends would describe a bike and really just trust lah. So it depends on who your friends are. Some friends are like into performance, they know the components, that's great. But I think majority of us have friends that just buy probably a full bike that has most of the standard group sets, and then you just ride lah. But I think in cycling, what I learned was that you need to know what you want and what you don't want. If not, if you commit to a really expensive bike, right, then you realize, oh, it might not suit you, then it's very hard to unwind that lah. So I would say for those that are starting, anywhere between like probably 3,000 would be a good price that you can buy a fairly good like aero bike, rim brake, and then you know with pretty good wheel set. I think that is the basic lah. Then anything more is of course I think a luxury lah.
Yeah. So Fuji Transonic SL, then the Madone SL7. Why the Madone? I know you said aero bike.
Yeah.
Was that the main reason?
So then I had a few friends who had Madones, and they told me how good it was lah. Because you know, I think Trek Madone is the only frame set that has this ISO speed, right? And then initially when I tried it, I was like, wow, it's really comfortable, right? And I decided also to run tubeless immediately, right? And I realized, wow, it's super comfortable. When you go for your round island, it feels so smooth. Compared to like my previous rim brake, where you could feel some vibrations when you're going fast, or you just feel the tire, you know, just stiffening up at certain the bumps, right? So I think, I just decided to get a comfort bike, but at the same time aero looking. I think it's one of the most aero looking bike with a really thick down tube and top tube lah. So I thought it looks nice. I thought it was price point was good. I also bought it second hand. I got a really good price as well, and yeah, there it started. And
then this SL7, how long is it? How old do you have? How long have you been riding this bike? How old is this bike? So actually, my wheel set and my group set came from my Trek Madone, which actually I still have the frame. I'm actually still trying to sell. So if you want to buy, let me know. It's a good condition. Comes with integrated handlebar, front and rear lights. Here's your pitch, man, to sell the Madone.
So I always wanted this Tarmac SL7 lah. I think they marketed it very well. It was kind of like the bike to rule them all, right? When I saw Venge, and then I saw this like Tarmac SL6, and then now they merge it, right? So I thought, hey, this bike is something that I liked. And after riding the Madone, I felt it was a bit heavy. I am a cyclist that I like sudden surges. I like kind of like climbing on the hills. But the Madone didn't give me that. It took a while because it was heavy. But it's nice for cruising. But I thought I wanted an all-rounder bike. So I decided to just take a look at the market lah. But I actually only bought this because of a sale. Yeah, I got a really good deal lah.
Is it 2021 or
2022 model. So I believe this is the SATIN chrome. So in the day, this black frame, right, you see actually sparkles. Yeah, so but it looks matte now, but in the day it's really nice lah.
You got it from, I'm assuming, Specialized.
Yeah, so I got it Specialized, and I got a discount from it lah. So when I saw it, it was I used to ride at 54, but I thought it's a bit big. I want to kind of like have one that is slightly smaller, slender stem, and looks looks sexy, looks cool.
This one looks like a very pro setup.
Yeah. So then I decided to get a 52, and just nice there was a discount, and I just literally just bought it the day I saw the discount, and I just, checked out.
I'd like to ask this question of finding the right size bike. When you started cycling, the Transonic and then the Madone, was that bike the right size for you? The previous old bikes?
So when I first started, my friends would just say, just use a very simple gauge lah, like what's your height versus what is the manufacturer's sizing. So I'm 175, so it's in between a high end of 52 and a low of 54's frame. So at the start, because I wasn't flexible, I didn't know much about the cycling position, so they just recommend to get a more comfortable position. So I think it's recommended also to get a frame that is slightly easier to ride, so you know what you need to position lah. And I also went for a bike fit, and then found kind of what I wanted. Then I realized that the previous 54 frame was, I felt a bit too high, on the bike. I wanted to be a bit more aggressive, so I just thought maybe I think if I down one to 52, it would be perfect lah.
So you knew that the 52 for the SL7 was for you. No doubts about it. You went to the shop, I want a 52.
Yeah.
Don't even need a 54.
Yeah, so I didn't even test the bike. It just bought it, and then from there.
So you went for the bike fit. How was the process like, and which one, if you don't mind me asking?
Suddenly I forgot where I went.
Okay, I'm going to guess it's performance. Taha went to performance. Is it the same one as him? Everyone goes there.
Performance bike fitter.
Is that the one?
Wow.
I mean, there's a lot.
I think so. Sorry.
Okay.
So I only went once lah.
Okay.
And then I think I found it interesting because I think for bike fit, it's not just finding the measurements. Let's say of your reach or your saddle tilt or the angle of your cue angle or just your hip length and stuff. But I think it's more of you got to ride on the trainer. Then the biomechanics is there to help you to see which is comfortable. Whether can you hold the drops comfortably or hold the hoods at the right position. So it just helped me to solidify what I knew I wanted, because I think all of us look at cyclists and we say, I want to really look like a pro, right? With a nice like a triangle kind of shape when you are on your drops.
Super aero.
Yeah, super aero. But maybe it's not really comfortable, right? So I think the bike fit helps you to really figure out, okay, is that really for you? And they also help you to find out which muscle groups that you have that are maybe a bit tighter. For example, most of us have lower back tightness because we're not used to bending and holding the position. A lot of us have maybe some hip or knee kind of joint pains because maybe either it's the knee is too locked or or the legs is too stretched out. So I think it's good that the bike fit helps you to figure out some of these inefficiencies, and then when you align that with their measurements and you test it out, I think you get to know more about your body lah. So I think now I'm at a stage where I adjust by myself. For example, if I feel maybe my angle of my handlebar is too high, I want a bit more aggressive sprinting posture with my wrist slightly tilted, then maybe I can just adjust by myself. So it's just trial and error lah.
I think a lot of people that I've interviewed who have gone to a bike fit is primarily because they don't know what to do. They have no idea. But I think if you know what to do, then you can just fiddle around with your bike and kind of figure it out.
Yeah, exactly. And I think a few things that most people fiddle with is actually the saddle height lah.
Yeah.
I think we also want to maximize the output when we put on the pedals lah. So I think the right saddle height is one of the most important fixes. Then I think saddle tilt as well, because I think most of us guys, when you ride for long, if it's too low, right, then you are literally putting your whole weight at your, there.
Crown
so
jewels.
yeah, so I think if you want a comfortable ride, then you make sure that you have the right weight distribution. I think that's very important.
Okay, let's move on to the bike. If you could let us know what you have here.
Yeah, so this is the Specialized S-SWORKS Tarmac SL7 in 52. So I'm actually running a Ultegra 11-speed, and it's a Di2. Also with the Favreau dual power meters, and it's a 5236 and 1128 for the cassette. So actually a mix and match. The rotors actually, if you see, It's a Dura Ace rotor, so it's not the Ultegra rotors, because I think it looks nicer lah, with the more black and then the silver pops out, right? Then I think for my wheel set, this is a very different combo. You won't really get someone that will run a 45 front and a 65 rear lah. The differential is 20 lah, mm's from the front and back lah. So it's actually quite deep lah. I think most of the like wheel sets maybe 9 to 11 maybe the difference. Yeah. So but why I got this, because I think I like a bit of like those creed racing where you need to kind of be agile. So I just thought, okay, maybe the front is a bit shallower. Then I think rear deeper is so that you can pull, or you can hit, let's say 40 and cruise with less watts. So I just thought I would get this combo lah. But I realized it's actually quite tough to power a 65 for RTI. Yeah, but it's a good training. Yeah, and I'm running tubeless. I'm running the Continental GP 5K STR. So it's a tubeless.
This is 28 or 30?
It's 28.
Huge.
Yeah, 28.
But I think it's getting very popular now, very common to have 28.
Yeah, I think a lot of the world tour guys are doing 28. And I realized like when you go through gravel or potholes, right, you don't feel anything. Especially for tubeless. I think my palm max is like 65 psi, and actually it's very comfortable. And it can last pretty well lah. Yeah. Okay. And I'm also using the Rovel Rapid handlebar. It's a 40 cm. And yeah, that's Supercars bar tape, and yeah, I'm running a Garmin system lah. Yeah.
And when you bought this bike, it was just a frame only, right?
That's right.
And then the cockpit, and was it cockpit all separate?
It was separate. So I actually changed my stem. So for my bike fit, I realized a 110 stem works for me instead of the regular 90. So I actually still have a brand new inbox 90 stem if you're interested. The Madone SL7 stem, good price, that I'm selling. Yeah. But yeah, so I bought the handlebar and I bought the stem. But the rest it came from my previous bike. So I also had the S-SWORKS Power saddle, which I really like. I think it's in 155 lah, the width.
The width,
yeah.
On the stem, right? Because I realized that the angle is quite, it's much more higher compared to the normal. It's not 6 degrees, right? It's more than that, I think.
Yeah, it's 12 degrees,
right?
minus 12 degrees.
Yeah. How do you know that you needed 12? Was it because from the bike fit as well?
That, and also my friend said, hey, 12 look more aero lah. So I trusted them. I said, looks is important. Okay, let's do it.
But how was that after that? Do you have any back pains? Was it a problem?
I think for me, naturally as an athlete, I adapt quite well with conditioning the body. So initially when I had this setup, because it was slightly lower than my previous bike, and I think the reach was a bit further out, I had a bit of tiredness around my lower back, but I realized like after more stretching and just conditioning or stretching out and making sure that like my body did not suffer any cramps and stuff, I got used to that angle a lot easier lah.
Do you think people who want to get more aero, all they have to do is just ride more, just force your body to it? It's forcing the, I don't know if it's the right term to use.
I think for cycling, all of us want to have the best position, to ride the longest, and to feel good lah. But I think one thing about training or principles of training is that it's about the full workout lah, conditioning. So it comes from your flexibility, from your strength. So I would say you will need outside of cycling to do a bit of strength and conditioning. Right? I think for cycling, what helps me is like, for example, if I do core workouts like maybe your planks, right, helps you to hold, and then certain parts where you need to maybe do a plank and do a slight reach. Right. So naturally, you are forcing your body to balance on one of the limbs. Right. So cycling, same thing. Sometimes you are like putting more weight on the right hand, and therefore, if you are strong enough, you can hold. Right. But sometimes you need to move your left hand. So I would say conditioning workouts like that helps lah. Side planks, even doing like crunches, does help lah. And also a lot of lunges. Like I do a lot of lunges, a lot of stretching, so that my hip is always open lah. Because you realize in cycling, most of the time your hip bone is stuck on the saddle, right? And if you don't have that conditioning to be at the angle, a lot of us get the cramp, or like the kind of like the blood doesn't flow naturally, right? So we need to be used to doing a lot of other wider stretches so that it naturally helps your body to be used to holding a particular position.
Do you still run, by the way?
No, I think cycling is my only exercise, and of course like some strength and conditioning.
Okay.
But I stopped running lah.
Random
Yeah.
question: What are you? Would you think you'll join? Do you race on the bike?
I always had the thought. It's only this is my second year of cycling, so still fairly new to the sport. I like cycling with friends because it's more of a leisure thing lah. But competition wise, I considered, but I knew I needed a proper training program, but I have no real solid training plan towards a particular goal yet. So maybe next year I might try some crit race. But yeah, I think I'm getting used to riding the pelotons, and especially the last part doing just the sprints. And I felt that I think I can power some pretty good watts.
How's it like riding in a peloton? I think it could be quite scary for someone who's very new to cycling. Riding side by side to people, not knowing the etiquette of riding in a peloton. How was it like for you? How do you get started riding the peloton?
Yeah, so I actually had the privilege of joining this group, and how I encountered them was I was on TMCR. I was riding my first bike. I had a tire puncture, and then they were good Samaritans, and then 3 of them stopped and came to my aid lah. So then I was riding a tube a bike. I didn't even have any spares. I didn't even know what's a puncture, but they came to just not only just help me to fix a bike, they tell me about why you had this issue, and maybe on TMCR you have a lot of nails that comes from the trucks and stuff. So they were very nice. And then I asked them, can I just join them after? Yeah, so I joined them lah, and that group is called Kopi Ride. Very nice group of people, and that's how I started the peloton. Then we cycled kind of Tuesday, Thursday mornings at TMCR, rotating different groups. And I realized there's etiquettes from that group that is really nice. So example, they always say please shout out for any things like potholes that you see, and also when you pull, make sure that you rotate often so that you don't tire yourself out, and kind of they also are very strict to say, okay, no wearing of a earpiece, for example, no listening to music while you're in the peloton, which is good so that you're aware
of that.
Yeah, you're aware of surroundings, right? I think that's important, or to even hear what's happening. So from there I learned from that and then slowly when I applied to other groups that I joined, I think some other groups I see some similarities, but of course I think we cycle with a mixed group of people. Some are really fairly new and they just cut in and out, or they just try to overlap of the wheels, which is quite dangerous. So I think as long as you have a group that is willing to teach you, and you are willing to learn, I think it's good because I think all of us we cycle in Singapore so often. It's a community thing and the more aware we are of each other, I think it makes cycling such a nice sport
Have you had any bad experiences cycling? Bad falls, cars trying to run you down?
I think in Singapore, that's why I think cycling, most of us start really early or really late, so that you either don't have traffic jams, or you don't have to weave into traffic that you can't plan the route for. So I would say in Singapore, so far it's been good for me. Didn't really have much issues, but I've seen videos where either the rider wasn't aware. Sometimes we are guilty of always looking down. So I will always say try to look up That's what I always do, look far ahead, so that you know what's happening.
Anticipate, right?
Anticipate. Yeah. Or also to know that when you ride in a group, look out for one another I think that's the most important because if not, then there will be incidents that can happen
Sorry, we got carried away. Let's wrap up your bike. So the saddle, getting the 3D one soon. Why are you looking at me like that?
I think for now I think I'll just ride this bike first, then see if I need to change because either a part is spoiled or because I realized I was upgrading so fast that I forgot the enjoyment of having what you have. Right, a lot of stuff that we sell on Carousel, actually most of you guys that sell on Carousel, the stuff is still really good. But why do we change because we just saw the latest deal, let's buy it, and then we don't really understand or maximize what we have. So I think for me now, I'm just okay, I'm just going to ride the bike, enjoy it. If I need to change, then I will change when it's time to change
Are you convinced by the comfort of the 3D printed materials?
I always believe in new tech, because I believe that that's the future, and that's how a lot of hours are spent on the analytics behind performance, comfort, and of course cost savings for the company, and of course new tech looks cool right? So I always believe that there will be a benefit, right? But I think at the end it's just a price point If you are someone that is able to just get it, then okay, by all means. But if you're string to the dollar, then I think just one that feels comfortable, I think is good enough.
Last piece, I think you forgot to tell me about the OSPW.
Oh yes.
This is a Nova, right? Nova
Yeah.
OSPW.
So prior to this, everyone, you know, especially if they get a Specialized, they will go for your ceramic speed lah. So I actually have I forgot to say I got a ceramic speed BB. But I got this Nova Overspeed pulley just because I think it looks cool. It looks a bit slightly cooler than the I would say ceramic speed one. But I went to do some research, right? They say actually for OSPW, you don't really save a lot of watts because maybe on the upstroke lah, because you know of the angle, it just goes kind of like down, up instead of like going with a smaller pulley, it goes like this direction. Now it's just more up and down, so you save on the upstroke. But then on the downstroke, you still have to put a bit of effort lah, right? So if you net right, it's about the same lah. But I think I got it just because for its looks, and then slightly lighter, I think. Then I just stuck with it lah. Yeah.
What is the weight of the bike?
I honestly did not weigh it yet, right? But I think it should be slightly under 8 kgs. I know my wheel set is a bit heavier, but other than that, yeah, I think it should be about just slightly under 8 kgs.
And the price of the bike?
So I actually got the frame set at a discount, so I saved about 1.6k from the frame alone. Then yeah, so actually I bought the frame set at 6,600. The original price was like I think 8,250 lah. Then my wheel set with the ceramic, with the CK hubs, ceramic CK hubs, and the wheel set I think was about 3.2k. Yeah. Then the other miscellaneous, the group set was from my previous bike, which I got it at a discount. So I also actually don't know what's the price.
Yeah.
So actually when I said my bike probably was about maybe 13 grand.
Okay.
Maybe it's about there or slightly more. So I think it's on the lower side for a kind of like tarmac SL7 lah.
Why did you go for the ceramic CK hubs? I have one and I feel I wasted my money on it.
So I was also pointed by a friend. He say, hey, get the CK hub sounds nice, like a bumblebee. And then ceramics can spin better. So at the time you just think anything better, okay, I'll do it lah. So stuck with it lah. So and I didn't want a hubs that was too loud also lah. Right, I felt like a bit like a nuisance if sorry to offend those that with loud hubs, but I wanted something like a bit more crisp. And I think this is pretty good for me.
Do you think it has any performance gain in terms of having ceramic hubs or CK?
I think my previous wheel set. What was it? I think I was using, was it DT Swiss or what? But I actually find a difference when you are going downhill.
Freewheeling?
Pretty much, yeah. Like freewheeling, I feel that for this ceramic like hubs, I don't. Maybe it just spins better, it's more smooth. That's the feeling lah. But maybe the actual gains is marginal. But I think sometimes about cycling, it's about the feeling lah. You feel good. You can ride better and actually do better in performance, then yeah, why not?
So just to wrap up before we move on to the Instagram questions, tell me about the overall performance of the bike and also dislikes or any future upgrades.
I think so far I like the stiffness of the frame. I think this is using a 12R carbon. It's really stiff lah. Like especially when I try to do an off saddle and sprint, I really can feel it's very well balanced lah. Like the front doesn't lift up. I can feel that I can really put my weight on the front handlebar. So I think agility, stiffness is there. And I think weight as well, it's one of the lighter ones as well. But I think overall for the bike, actually no much cons lah. But I think for me, probably I'll change my wheel set because I feel like maybe the 65 is a bit too deep for me. I want maybe more all-rounder, maybe a 50s will work very well for my kind of riding style. But I think probably things that I want to see a change in the bike is maybe like an integrated handlebar, because I think for now for Specialized, they don't really have that, right? You have to buy a stem and you have to buy the handlebar separate.
No, don't tell them to do that. I like the old one, man.
I like new things lah, so
yeah. I think eventually they will get there because most people are already doing it. It will definitely save weight and yeah, like I said, everyone's doing it. There's no reason for them to continue doing this. But I'm very old school. I like it this way because I still get to play around with the stem and the handlebar. I can still buy third-party stems and handlebars, right? I think once they go full integrated, you're pretty much stuck with what they have to offer.
Yeah. And the last part of your question, what will I upgrade? Yeah, I think so. Mainly the wheel set. Actually, my friends say a group set just change to like a Durai lah. I think that is a consideration. But I think I'll just ride it until it goes haywire. Or maybe by then there's another type of group, group set that is in the market, and I'll try to get there as well lah.
Sorry, last question before I go on to IG, right? Do you think this is it is really a one bike to rule them all? It can do everything. Do you think it's another one that's better than this?
I think I'm biased also lah, because I know like S-SWORKS has always been that kind of bike that people like look at it and say like, yeah, maybe the quality is there. Also, I bought it so that there's a resale value lah. So I know that at least there's a value. But I know some bespoke bikes or manufacturers might be coming out with pretty nice bikes, but I think the price points will be really, really more expensive. So yeah, there are, but that's why I think we need more people to kind of try new bikes so that we all can review it together. Then we can learn more from that.
Yeah. You need a break, or we okay to go on?
Go on.
Okay. So now we move on to the Instagram Q&A. If you guys want to ask your questions, you can submit them on my Insta story and you get to ask them for the next guest. Kelvin, the first question is, how does this bike handle on climbs and flats and on short and long rides?
Wow, climb, flat, short and long. Okay, for climbs and flats, for climbs I would say this bike is good. Because especially when I depends on the gradient lah. Like if you are doing like 1 to maybe 8% gradient, you can feel the slight difference, but not so much. But maybe a lot more, maybe more than 10% gradient to up to maybe 15%, right? You really can feel the difference, especially when you go on your on off saddle. You can really feel when you are swaying the bike left and right. You can feel the weight is really nimble. So I like the kind of the agility lah. Yeah. So flats. I know a lot of people compare with the Venge. Can it hold the speed as much? I have not ridden a Venge, so I don't know. But I know that my previous bike, the Trek Madone, does hold that speed a lot easier. Like you hit a certain speed, it's a lot easier to just power through the wind. This one, you still got to really pretty much get into a tuck position. Then you can really hold that same speed. But I would say, if you condition to yourself, then you can hold the speed lah. But it's maybe not as best as another bike in terms of holding speed. Short distance wise, depends on your route lah. In the end, I realize it's all about the route. If you have a lot of turns, a bike like this is great lah, because you don't need so much energy or force to turn the front wheel, right? And for long rides, so far I have not really done a lot of long rides with this bike.
What's the longest you've done? I think I saw you going to Johor, right?
Oh yeah. There's about 130, 140
on this bike.
Yeah, but my previous bike I did about the 200k. I was really comfortable. This one I have not really pushed it to that limit yet. So maybe once I do that, I'll have more clarity.
Okay, then on the next question, I think you're talking about the Madone holding speed, right? The next question is, did your average speed improve after changing from the Madone?
Wow.
Or is it more on your fitness level, not on the bike?
Yeah, so I know a lot of us, when we cycle, we just look at the average, right? But I think I will always look at the effort. So I think it's good to also have things like your heart rate monitor, things like your power meter, to know whether that workout, like, do you push beyond your limit or not. But I think if you just look at the bike alone, at the end of the day, you must like what you cycle, and then it must really fit your type of riding. So I think I got a lighter bike because I know that maybe it suits me to produce more power, right? For like weight to power ratio. So I think on average, this bike has pushed me to hit slightly faster averages. But I would say most of it is still to do with fitness lah. You still need the fitness to last and proper training programs. Because in the end, you can get a bike that's like 0.5, 1 kg lighter, doesn't mean you will improve your speed by like 20-30%. It doesn't work that way.
From our friend Andrew, he submitted a question. Is the discount and speed increase proportional?
Wow, so Singaporean. Yeah. I would say end of the day, like when all of us buy the bike, the price is important because it will determine how we enjoy it. But I think cycling is very hard to quantify the output. Like I spend like $10,000 bike, $20,000 bike. Does it mean that you have double the experience or double the performance? So I think it's not equally related. But as long you love your bike, you willing to spend it because you think it benefits you, then it's worth it. Definitely worth it.
I'm just going to pick 2 more questions, or maybe 3. A lot of it on the price, which you already addressed because you got a discount. Everyone was like so surprised, wow, how come only 13,000? So now we move on to the wheel set. The question is, let me just combine a few questions if you could answer them. Why do you choose NV Foundation instead of the Rovel wheel set? And how are these wheels compared to your previous wheel sets that you've owned?
So when I got this wheel set, it was with the mind that I want to get a hookless wheel set. So I think that time NVs were one of the first few that were pushing that hookless beat wheel set, and then it came in the 28 C, right? 28 size, and then I was looking at comparing this actually with the NV56. I think a lot of the guys are riding NV56, but because it was, I think, 26mm, it's in the width optimal, and it wasn't hookless, right? So I thought I want a new tech. That's why I decided, NVs were coming out of it. And then just now I can custom with this 4565. Actually, I got it through Elite Customs. I think it's the only place that you can custom this 4565. If not, you have to buy the same
65,
size.
65, right? Yeah.
So that's why I got it. Then I just imported to this bike. So I think, I know there's a new Rovel Rapid, the 2. Some of them said that it's a bit too expensive for its marginal gains. So I don't know. But I'm also looking at either maybe the Dura-Ace C50 as an upgrade. But then of course I got to change my group set to the DA12. But still exploring, still reading up a bit on wheel sets for now.
And then how does this compare to your previous ones that you've owned? What other wheel sets do you run previously?
So the previous bike from the Madone, it came with the Bontrager Aeolus. I think that was the basic one, Aeolus. I don't know what's the term, performance or something. But it was a bit heavy. It was 50s. I think the depth was 50. But I felt that it was just not as smooth when it goes to like freewheeling and stuff. So I just thought, just maybe go for a wheel manufacturer that is pretty much one of the top tiers, right, for NVs. So that's how I just decided.
Last question, what is your FTP?
Wow. Actually, honestly, I did not really test it. I know FTP, they say you can test it with the 20-minute effort, or you can test it the 1 hour effort. So I did not really test my yet. I think I want to really test it at the official kind of like maybe a bike fitting place. I think a few reasons I didn't want to take cycling as initially as I need to know my stats so that I will improve and push it. So for me, I'm more like a feeling rider. I feel good, I just push it. So I'm still figuring out my FTP actually. So on my Strava, actually I put I think 200, but I don't know whether it's that. Maybe it's less, maybe it's more. But I know for my power meter, somehow I don't know, it's always lesser than what I thought I could push. Maybe I'm not as strong as before. But we'll see when the time comes.
How about nutrition? Is nutrition something that you take very seriously? Or just in terms of cycling, does that improve your cycling?
Yeah, so I think definitely nutrition is important, especially for a sport like cycling. I know there's a rule of thumb, some of them say if you are doing continuous, let's say 60 minutes of cycling, you should at least like drink a full bottle, 500 ml of water, because you lose a lot of sweat. But I always believe workout, like a pre-ride, you take more carbs lah, because carbs is the first store of energy that you burn lah. Then after that it's protein and it's your fats lah, right? Then at least 30 minutes of continuous riding, you will definitely burn a bit of fats lah. Depending on your intensity lah, of course lah. Then fueling up, I always bring like gels for my rides, because I know I need that instant electrolytes to give me that sugar rush or that instant push lah that I need instead of cramping up lah. And I drink a lot of water, so I always carry 2 bottles. I always finish it and top it up a full cycle again. So I would say at least like 2 liters of water each time I cycle. At least when I cycle, I like to take more breaks lah, because then you can really just chill. Because sometimes, like, I think my furthest I rode like non-stop was like maybe 60 Ks non-stop, but I felt like my legs were dying. So usually I would just go every 30 or 40 K I'll stop lah.
But you look super fit, man.
Looks are decent.
And what kit are you running? What shoes do you wear? Socks?
Yeah,
Dips?
so if you can see, I'm actually a MUP fan. I own a few other like Rafa, ASOS and stuff, but I like MUP lah because of its trendiness, you know, the colors. Like this is the Transcend version. So I bought the like matching socks. So underneath actually is pink color also lah, the pink top, and then just a MUP bib lah. Then I think
And these are the Shimano RC.
Yeah, Shimano RC 902. And I think most of us get the white one, right? Because they say white looks pro. So I actually previously I got everything black because I thought black is stealth and cool for my jersey lah. But I realized actually white is even cooler lah. So white socks, white shoes, white helmet. Okay.
What
really
you ride the Proton, right? Cast.
Yeah, cast Proton.
Okay. Cool. I think that's the end. I think I've covered everything, and then you've been a wonderful guest. Any last things that you want to pitch to anyone who was watching this video about your bike or anything you want to talk about?
I think just for those like thinking of cycling, I think just come into the sport. There's a big community. There's a lot of groups out there, a lot of social gatherings now, and I think it's all about like keeping fit, keeping a community. So I know a lot of people might have already sold their bikes or left the sport because you can travel. But I think for those that stayed, we realized that this is a community that is for all ages, whether you're young, you're old, you enjoy it, you can explore Singapore together. So I think if you're joining, good. Then for those that are in it, I think also thanks for those that have helped me along the way. Because I think for me, finding a new sport, the way to stick longer is you need a community. So I think especially for those that are cycling alone, you're looking for communities. There are different groups that are either starting in your areas or stuff like that lah. So if you need myself to recommend you, let me know. Or I think we also have a lot of friends out there that can link you up lah. So I think as long as we are knitted together, I think we'll continue this lah.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Calvin, for coming over, and that is the end. Thank you.
Driving all day, searching all night, can't seem to focus this double sight. This is a tale sworn in a sight. Finding my way back to life.